Hello guys, Mark here. Welcome back to another video. We're back in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I have a full flight for you guys today. We are going to do a long haul, as you can probably guess based on the airplane sitting in front of you. We're going to operate Thai Airways Flight 475. With service from here in Bangkok down to Sydney. I ended up kind of with a full day with not a whole lot going, so I decided to take advantage of that and do a long haul, which I haven't done in quite a while. And I was taking a look at different routes that were an option, and I realized I had bought FlyTampa Sydney like right when it came out, and I don't think I've ever flown there, at least not in this sim. I know I've flown there back in P3D, but never in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So we will go and explore that down there. GSX is doing the boarding here. You can see it's just about finished up with the cargo, but we've got quite a few passengers left to get on board. And I've just basically turned on the power to the airplane. But everything else in terms of planning the route needs to be done still, so we'll get going with that in just a second. I'm going to pull up the route here on Navigraph so we can have a look at where we're flying today real quick. So we're going to depart here at Bangkok. We're located about here on the airport. Actually, I believe I can load in our position. So we're at gate Delta 7 right there. We're planning departure off of 19 right on the Kigo 3 Golf standard instrument departure. From there we're going to head southbound. We'll pass along the rest of Thailand, just to the east of Malaysia and Singapore, over a good portion of Indonesia, and then we'll track across basically the entire country of Australia all the way down here to Sydney. Planning arrival on 16 right. Probably vector out this way for the ILS. So hopefully some good views of the city as we arrive. This flight by default, I guess, in the real world is what I'm trying to say, departs at around 8:30 in the morning local time here in Bangkok and arrives around 9:45 or so p.m. into Sydney. I didn't want to arrive there at night, especially since I haven't flown there in quite some time, or maybe at all in this simulator. So I'm going to have us depart a little early. It's about 6:30 or so in the morning here, so that should get us to Sydney just before sunset, so at least we have something to look at out the window. So this is the HorizonSim 787-9. Very beautiful. Great livery as well. One of my favorites. I feel like I say that kind of every video, but got lots of favorites, I guess. But some more unique colors and such on this livery. I've always really liked it. The livery itself comes from FlightSim.to. It's kind of a dirty version, which looks really nice as well. So GSX is finished boarding. We'll go ahead and jump in to the flight deck. Oh, one more thing real quick. This scenery here in Bangkok is by SiamFlight. There's a couple available that I think this seemed to be the better one. So this is SiamFlight Bangkok. Cool. Jump to the flight deck and we'll get everything else up and running. So IRSs I set to align. They're probably done now. I believe they are. I don't see any timers left there on the multifunction display. We'll finish just a quick flow here. APU, I'm not going to start that quite yet. We should need it at the moment. Flight deck door power and emergency lights can be armed. We'll go ahead and turn the window heats on as well. Hydraulics. I'm going to go ahead and pressurize those as well. All right, now fueling's completed, so seatbelt signs can come on. The rest of this should be good. We'll leave the fuel pumps. Actually, no, we're fueling's completed. We might as well pressurize those, and I'm sure we're going to have fuel in the center tank. We do, so we'll pump those on as well. Anti-ices, I'm going to go through those to auto. Might as well just pretty much get everything all set up where it needs to be. And sure, we'll flip the packs on even though we don't have any air coming on board the airplane quite yet with no APU. Cool. So that is all set. First thing we need to do here is, did it load my sim brief? So I set that. So we'll start running through the EFB. So we have active nav data, which is good till February 21st, so that is good to go. We will put in our reference airport, which is Victor Tango Bravo Sierra. And we have our GPS position that is loaded in. Cool. Head to the route page and we'll pull a request from our sim brief data. Alright, we have our Ret1 uplink ready, so we'll go ahead and load that in. So, Victor Tango Bravo Sierra, Yankee Sierra Sierra Yankee, Thai Airways Flight 475. Runway of departure is 19 right. So that looks good. We'll go ahead and load our departure and arrival in as well. So 19 right. I'm not going to use the HUD today. What is our, actually I can just look down here, our SID, actually that doesn't tell me exactly what it is. Kigo 3 Golf, couldn't remember there. Kigo 3 Golf, yeah, I tend to not use the HUD. I don't really like how it looks in the sim. I probably should. I need to kind of fix my camera views up and all that, but I tend to fly better without it in the simulator, so I just don't really bother. Okay, Kigo 3 Golf is selected. Arrival, obviously this is going to be probably about 9 hours from now, so it very well could change. But we'll put in what we're expecting now just so we can get accurate times and fuel calculations. So right now we're planning the ILS 16 right, the Rivet 3, no transitions, and there's no approach transitions either, so that looks good. Before we execute that route, we will let's see what's going on here. Indeed, that's what I want. And we will go to the plan mode, and we'll step through our route. So we'll hit the legs page here. So there's a departure off of 19 right, turn kind of southeast bound. Cool. Everything connects up, no discontinuities except right here at the end. Let's make sure we know what's going on here. If we look at Navigraph, we should have boogie, and then we're basically going to vector ourselves for the approach. Any boogie? Is that okay? No, that's correct. So it does actually terminate basically over top the airport. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not sure that they would ever do that in the real world either. So since we have no air traffic control, I'm just going to get rid of it, and then we'll leave. Maybe I should connect it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So what I've noticed with the HorizonSim, and I mean the working title 787 in general, if everything is not fully connected, like if you have some sort of setup here where you're acquiring vectors, sometimes it won't get the VNav quite right. Like your top of descent will be quite late, but we'll maybe look at that a little bit later, closer to descent. But in general, that all looks good. So we'll execute the route. We'll head to the perf init page. We'll load in our zero fuel weight right there. Cruise altitude set 370. We do have a couple step climbs, so we're 370, a little later 390 and 410. So we'll load those in now while I'm thinking about it. So we're looking for, where is it? Sugik, I believe. Yep. For 390, so we'll do -3, if I can find a quick spot. 390S. Execute that, and then we're looking for Polev for 410. -410. Oops. Cool. Step climbs are loaded in. Reserve fuel. Final reserve is 13.6. I'm just going to put that in for our reserves. Cool. Step size. Let's keep our steps in. Actually, if I set that, yes, it does. Because I don't want it to auto do our steps. Awesome. So initial cruise 370. Cost index, I believe I set to max because I want us to get there as quickly as possible. So 300 on the cost index. Thrust limit page. That will bring us over here. We'll go ahead and initialize the flight. Performance calculation 19 right, no intersection. Condition of the runway is dry. Current weather is 200 at 10 knots, 28 degrees. 200 at 10, 28 degrees on the temperature. Altimeter looks good. Thrust rating, we're going to do optimum flap config, optimum anti-ice off. CG. And let's see. Sorry, cruise CG. Let's do this. 20.61. So 20.6, and we'll calculate. Cool, so flap 5 departure, TO2 derate, selected temperature of 48 degrees, so we'll put that in. TO2, that looks good. And 159.163.169. Load in our CG. Flaps 5 departure today. 160.163.169. We'll take the speed from the calculator, even though it's just 1 knot off. Perfect. So we have CDU pre-flight complete. Cool. That looks good. We'll go to the VNav page and we'll grab in climb forecast winds. And we'll load those in. Cool. Cruise, that all looks good. 370.853. Perfect. Sent. These ones are probably going to change, but we'll go ahead and load those in just so we can get as accurate information as possible. Alright, and trim is 7.25. I'm going to set that with my yoke electric trim here. 7.25 is set. So fueling is completed, passengers are boarded. So passenger seatbelt sign is on. We can go ahead and make sure everything is set up top here. We'll go ahead and get the APU started at this time as well. Cool, that all looks good. So our V2 speed is 169, so I'll go ahead and set that here so we don't forget. So 169 is set. Perfect. I want to take traffic over on this side, and we will take flight directors on. We'll arm the auto throttle. We'll set runway heading. Well, let's look at our departure real quick. So 195 to Roven. We'll not bother. Well, yeah, we'll set that heading. Actually, we'll set runway heading. Be a good pilot, even though we're just going to be LNAVing on the departure. So 195, I'm not going to bother with an initial climb actually today. We're just going to go right up to 370 because we're flying offline. I'll take LNAV and VNAV right there. Cool. So passenger signs are set. MCP is set. Takeoff speeds are loaded. CD pre-flight's completed. Taxi and takeoff briefing is completed. We'll get the beacon on shortly. So boarding and everything is most certainly complete, so we will get on out of here. I'm going to let GSX get all set up for pushback and departure, and I'll be back with you guys in just a second. Alright, we will go ahead and let GSX push us back. I'm going to close out of that for a second. We'll get the beacon light on. That should complete the before start checklist, so that's good to go. Let's see, continue pushback, and we'll do nose left, tail right.
Release parking brakes, please.
Alright, parking brake is coming off, so we'll commence push, and we'll go ahead and start both of our engines simultaneously. So, come up here to the start panel. We're going to hit both of them over to start. Got into on both. Got auto start, so we'll flip both of those fuel controls to run. And engines will start up. Alright, we have 2 good starts.
Please set parking brake.
And we'll set parking brakes. They're set. Cool. Run through a quick after start flow here. Make sure everything is set and good to go. Don't need to really mess with anything down here other than potentially our transponder. I may or may not set that. I'll go ahead and set it now actually to JRA. Everything else down there is set. Overhead panel, we don't need that APU anymore, so we'll shut that off. Light's good, we'll wait taxi light till everyone's clear. Cool, that's set there. Gonna set flaps 5, and we'll run through our actual before taxi checklist. Anti-ice is auto, we just looked at that. We'll check recall real quick, that's clear. Auto brake to RTO, flight controls, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up that over here. Full right, full left, full right, neutral, full up on the elevator, full down, neutral, full right, and left on the rudder and neutral. Flight controls are checked, ground equipment is clear, APU is off. And flaps are set, so before takeoff checklist is complete as well. Next one is after takeoff, so I can clear off the checklist menu. I will take taxi and turn off lights. And just like that, we are ready to go. Kick off the parking brake. And we'll add a little power. And we'll get taxiing. Alright, just about ready to go here. Approach path to the runway looks clear. We'll take our landing lights and our strobe lights on as we roll on the runway. Set that guy to the legs page in case we have to do any directs. And we got kind of a high speed runway entry here, so we'll keep the airplane rolling. Transponder is set. Alright, we are ready to go. We'll give it a boost to throttle. Stable. And toga. We have thrust reference, toga, toga. Airspeed's alive. Thrust is set. There's 80 knots. like we're going to use a good portion of the runway today. Go with that D-rate. There's V1 and rotate. Slowly keep that nose below 10. Let us come off the ground. Cool. There's a positive rate of climb. Gear up. And we'll follow that flight director up. Plane's trimmed pretty nicely. A little bit extra nose down trim, I think. And we have LNAV, VNAV speed, thrust reference. There's acceleration. Through flap 5 speed, we'll take flaps 1. There's our left turn following the LNAV track. And we'll take flaps up. And we'll take autopilot on. Accelerating to 250. I feel like with these sounds, I feel like I forgot to reactivate my FTSim sound pack. They're a little quiet. FTSim improves the Rolls-Royce sounds quite a bit, but that is okay. Alright. Climbing through 5,000 feet, excuse me, we'll make sure everything is all cleaned up. Turn-offs and taxi light can come off at this point. Other than that, everything should be good to go where it is. Our transition altitude is 11,000 feet. I'll throw this range out as well. Got a nice sunrise departure here. Look at that. That is screenshot worthy right there. Restriction 9,000 below we do. I'm going to go ahead and out intervene a couple times, clear those out. Since we're flying offline, no need to abide by those restrictions, especially on the climb out. Coming through 10,000 feet, landing lights off, fasten seatbelt sign. Actually, that should stay on. Cabin chime. People going to pull out their laptops and whatnot. And we'll accelerate to 340 knots for the climb. There's 340, there's the airplane pitching up to hold that airspeed and reinitiate the climb. 11,000 feet is our transition altitude, so we'll go to standard. And with that, everything is pretty much complete for the climb. Just let the airplane get up to flight level 370, and then we'll monitor it from that point and get it set up for the step climbs all the way up to 410. I've been in there about 5 minutes, so somewhere in the range of 8 hours and 40-ish minutes in the air to go until Sydney. I will leave it there. As always, leave you guys with a few images from the cruise portion, and I'll talk to you again shortly. Hello and welcome back, guys. We are just short of our top of descent here, around 60 miles or so, so that will be beginning shortly. We're up at 41,000 feet, and we've been airborne right under 8 hours at this point, and flight has been pretty uneventful. We're just going to do our final checks here, make sure the arrival's loaded in properly. And we're set up for the proper runway, so if I can get what I'm looking for, there's Navigraph. Let's see if we can get an updated weather. So we do have updated weather. Winds 190 at 18 knots. They've picked up a little bit, but that's still kind of here out of the south-southwest. So we'll still be taking runway 16, so the arrival we planned should work out just fine. We got overcast clouds at 2,900, no rain or anything at the moment. So shouldn't pose any issues in terms of the approach. So we'll leave our arrival as we loaded earlier. And we'll verify in here that we do have the ILS frequency loaded of 109.5, and we'll cross-check that here. So that looks good. Let's also, I keep tabbing out to the wrong program, let's take a peek at our arrival. Not a whole lot of restrictions. Here we have an above 8,000 here, a below 9,000 here, and above 6,000 here. And then when we take vectors onto the approach, we're going to intercept our glide slope. As you can see, we don't need a Cat 2 or anything like that. Looks like the glide slope can be intercepted here at 3,000, but the final approach fix is at Igala at 1,700. So I suppose we'll plan on intercepting it there at 1,700. And we could intercept it out there since it does extend out that far. But anyways, we'll go ahead and spin down our MCP altitude here. I'm going to set that for 6,000 because as of now that's kind of the end of our arrival. That's our first step. So we'll go ahead and set that so the airplane will start descending once we reach our top of descent marker. Another thing we'll do is set our minimums based on the clouds, like I mentioned earlier, not going to need to worry about any type of Cat 2 approach or anything like that. So we'll just do the standard ILS, which has a decision altitude of 210 feet. So we will set Barrow to 210 here. Oops. So Barrow to 210 is set. We don't have landing performance calculations. However, this runway is very long, 13,000 feet. I don't see any reason we'll need more than auto brake 2, so I'm going to go with auto brake 2 for the landing. And that everything is more or less set. We'll get the seatbelt sign on once we're starting our descent. Yeah, it should be pretty uneventful from this point on, at least I hope so. So I'll leave it there for now, and I'll pick it back up with you guys once we are well into our descent a little closer to Sydney. See you in a minute. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are well on our way down towards Sydney. In fact, the city of Sydney and the airport is right in front of us, about 40 miles. Can't really quite see it yet beneath that cloud deck, but we're well on our way down to 6,000, which we want to be at this fix right here. Check that, spin this in. This fix right here, Boogie, we'll be at 6,000 there. And then we'll make our turn heading through 35, which is the reciprocal, the runway heading, and head off this direction to line ourselves up for the ILS. We're going to kind of vector ourselves. Fast seatbelt signs are on, and we have a little speed breakout now. I'm just helping slow the airplane down. I'm going to take another peek over here. It's 185 selected to big. I'm not sure. We don't need to be going quite that slow. Yeah, so I'm going to go and take out those speed brakes. We're fine where we're at now. In fact, we're already, if we look over here, below our maximum flap extension speeds for all the way down to, well, flaps 5. So we'll just try to keep that in range so we can use it as necessary. Transition altitude here is 11,000 feet, or flight level 110, I should say. So we're nearing that just prior to reaching Boogie. I might go ahead and speed intervene. Yeah, we'll let VNav hold on to it right now. It's at a decent spot. It's looking very pretty outside. We're just gonna beat the sun down into Sydney here. Yeah, this is beautiful, especially since the world update for Australia. The terrain and the scenery here looks gorgeous. Great place to fly. I imagine I'll find myself flying here quite a bit more often once the PMDG 777's out. It's a great long-haul destination for sure. I'm going to see if we have, nope, still 35 minutes ago on the weather, no update. So 1021 is what we'll select there. Once we're below transition altitude here in just a second. See how slow it's gonna want the airplane to get. I don't need it to get all the way to 185 quite yet. If it is gonna try and slow us all the way down there, but it looks like it's doing a pretty good job of just kind of keeping us where we need to be right now. And for some reason my auto brake disarmed. I'm not sure. Maybe when I plugged my controls back in. So auto brake set to 2. Alright, here is flight level 110. So we will set 10 2.21. It's going to make us a little bit high. That's all right. We'll be able to get that back pretty quickly. Gorgeous views coming into Sydney. I'll grab a screenshot of that. Alright, there, it kind of reset the speed. I don't know why it was at 185 there, that previous fix. It's a little drag. That one's 185 again. Weird. Alright, below 10,000 landing lights can come on. We'll chime the cabin as well. We'll give it a little speed break. We'll give it what it wants here. We'll slowly start bringing that speed back. Are just planning to intercept the glide slope right after Addons here at 3,000. That'll be easiest for us. So we're just gonna set 3,000 once we're here at Boogie and beginning our vectors for that ILS. Looks like we're gonna be a little bit early, and I don't have the block time. The clock, you can start it, but it doesn't count up in hours for some reason. It just resets after an hour and starts counting over again, so it's pretty much useless. But we'll add 10-20 minutes to that. Block time was scheduled right around 8 hours 55 minutes, so we're definitely going to be earlier than that. Probably partly due to the 300 cost index we used. I'm going to go speed intervene here, and we'll hold it at 210. I don't need it to get slower than that at this point. We'll start slowing it down once we grab flaps and such. Double check this. Actually, it has decreased a little bit, so I'm going to grab a new speed there. 30 and 146. Forgot to bring the speed brakes out, so we'll do that now. 30 and 146. Could do flaps 25, especially since we have such a long runway, but we're just going to stick with flaps 30, I think. That's what I'm most familiar with on this airplane anyways. Altimeters are set. Actually, we can complete that approach checklist, and landing checklist is to go. There's something clicking. I don't know what's going on. Huh. Strange. Don't know what that noise is. Alright, there's 6,000 feet, and there is Boogie. So we're going to set 3,000. Just went a little quick there. And we're going to go into heading select. We'll turn left heading 335. We'll go into vertical speed mode, and we'll start a descent of, we'll start with maybe 1,200 feet a minute. And we'll see where that puts us. We do have the localizer alive, or at least we are receiving the signal. You can see parts of Sydney coming into view beneath us. Beautiful timing on our arrival here, timed just about perfect. Reset our speed here. Alright, let's pull speed back 200 knots, and we'll take flaps 1 to start here. looking good. We're receiving the glide slope now. Good way to time your turn on the glide slope is once that needle moves opposite you and kind of towards the top of the scale. There is a good time to think about turning. That usually means you can intercept it fine. We're going to go past Addons anyways, down to 3,000 though. Can actually reduce that descent rate a little bit. I think 1,000 feet per minute or even 900 should suffice for now. In fact, based on that trend marker there, even a little bit less on the descent rate should be good. I don't think we're going to have any problems slowing down at this point. So if I can, we're going to arm our speed brake. So far performance is great coming into Sydney as well. Granted, not rendering a ton of the city with these clouds out quite yet. Now we have our glide slope needle moving, so that's going to swing to the top over there. Got some traffic over here we'll have to keep an eye on as well. I may reset FSLTL here in a second. Don't know if that's inbound to Sydney or not, but I don't want to have to deal with it messing with our approach. Alright, about to level off at 3,000 here. Making a right turn around, heading 070, I guess it'd be 065 for a 90-degree turn before we set ourselves up on a 30-degree intercept for the localizer. I'll leave that out actually so I can see our location. We'll bring that range in just a second. Alright, there's 3,000. We'll let ourselves get just past being a beam of Addons, and then we'll start that turn. I'm going to actually take this time right now to slow ourselves to 180 knots, and we'll take flaps 5 at the same time as well. 1021 is set on the altimeters. Cool. We'll go ahead and start that right turn. Oops, hitting the wrong buttons here. We'll set 065. I want this back to auto. These airplanes are coming into Sydney. They turned on the localizer for our runway, so I'm going to go ahead and go to FSLTL and reset traffic just so we don't have them in our way. Alright, there's the city off to our right. There's a radio altimeter alive. See the Sydney Opera House coming into view out there. Should have a really good view of that off our left side just prior to landing. So if you're a passenger on this flight on the left-hand side of the airplane, you're going to have a really awesome view. Alright, next heading is going to be 125. That'll give us a 30-degree intercept for the localizer. Just about getting to where that heading would take us inbound to Addons, so we're going to start that turn. 125, and we'll go approach mode. That'll arm localizer and glide slope. Do a double check here of our missed approach altitude. 600, then climb to 3,000, so that actually won't change. Our actual set altitude won't change. Gonna see that localizer diamond come alive here in just a second. There it is, localizer is captured. Glide slope is moving as well. Alright, preparing for glide slope intercept. We'll go ahead and take our gear down. We'll take flaps 15 and we'll slow the airplane to around 160 knots. There's glide slope intercept. 3,000 feet is set. That's our missed approach altitude.
2,500.
Hold the speed till we're around 5 miles from the threshold. And we'll bring it back to our final approach speed, get the rest of the flaps out. Alright, 146 plus 5 gives us 151. Flaps 20. And flaps 30, landing checklist complete. Get rid of the checklist here. Say we're cleared to land, we'll flip the rest of our lights on. Try to catch a view of Sydney here before we kick the autopilot off. There's the Opera House. The sun just starting to set off to our other side. Beautiful. Airplane stabilized. We got rollout flare armed. Land 3. We'll leave the auto throttle on. However, I'll take one more look at the city as we pass by. We'll take the autopilot off. Beautiful. All right. Autopilot coming off. Or manual.
1,000.
Do wish this airplane handled just a little bit heavier. It's a little bit light on the controls. Kind of always feels like it's getting tossed around. Airspeed's good, auto throttle's handling that. Pappy's looks good. We're just a little bit high on the glide slope. But I like the look of that with the pappies. We got pretty stiff wind. A couple stutters. Pretty stiff wind from our right-hand side here. Yeah, mostly headwind, a little right crosswind. It is tossing us around a little bit. Yeah, the glide slope's definitely a little bit off. That would put us well high if we followed that all the way down.
Minimums.
Landing.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Idle the power. And we're down. Just idle reverse. And we'll take manual braking. And kick out that reverse. And we'll exit here at Alpha 3 or Alpha 4, not quite sure. Cool, very nice. Landing lights can come off. I'll take the turn-offs off as well. Strobe can come off as we exit the runway. We'll reach up here. We'll start the APU. Restart GS6 like always. Sweet. Spoilers can come out, as can the flaps. I went ahead and deleted our total time there, but we can go back and look at that later. For some reason that throttle stuck in reverse. There it goes. Always does that with this airplane for me as well, for some reason, not sure why. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and pull up our airport map. Our gate is right about in this area. Gate 60 is what we're planning if it's occupied. We'll either kick someone out or take a different one. Let's see. Internationally, and we'll take 59 because that looks available. No follow me required. Cool. Yeah, this scenery looks fantastic. FlyTampa is definitely up there, in my opinion, with probably just Flight Beam, really, at the top in terms of what you get and also the performance you get with it on their sceneries. So it's great. This is always one of my favorites in P3D. They really pushed the limits with this when they first released it for P3D. I remember being absolutely mind blown by the scenery when it came out for P3D with all the details, and they had all the little puddles and reflections and stuff like that. It kind of set a new bar for P3D back when it came out there. Right. Everything looks good. Awesome. Alright. Crossing runway 7 here. We'll get our lights back on momentarily as we cross the runway. Gotta be careful with FSLTL, but looks clear. And then we'll take our second left once we clear the runway. I'm going to go ahead and take our taxi plane off as well. Don't need that pulling into the ramp. Cool. And then I'm going to double check just right where gate 59 is. So it should be right up here. Let's see if we can spot our tug. But the gate numbers are a little bit different here. Is that going to be up in front of us? Looks like that's where it is. So the gate numbers on this scenery are a little different than what Navigraph shows. That explains why I was like, I don't see a tug at the gate. Alright. APU is on and running. Got that for shutdown. Use our VTBS to park it up. We went a little too far trying to straighten it out there. That's alright. Parking brake is on. Get rid of those engines. Seatbelt signs off. Beacon light off. Go ahead and connect external power so we don't need the APU anymore. Fuel pumps off. Oops. Window heats off. We can go ahead and kick the IRSs off as well. And we are just about good to go. Welcome to Sydney, everyone.
Deboarding requested.
Request deboarding. Don't have a clock to forget to stop today anyways, so we'll jump outside. There we are. Beautiful. Going to turn the drone speeds down a little bit. Just went past their line a little bit on the parking, but not too shabby. Alrighty, well, as you can see, it's a gorgeous evening, summer evening, mind you, in Sydney, down here in the southern hemisphere. Looks quite inviting. Where I'm at, it's currently 30 degrees and snowing, so this looks like quite a nice change. I really hope you enjoyed this flight, everyone. Like I kind of mentioned towards the end of the flight there, once the PMDG 777 is out especially, I really hope to be doing quite a few long hauls. Oh my gosh, are my spoilers came back out. It's because the throttle X and the wind are reversed. They're kind of tied together in this airplane. Everyone else around here is saying that absolute idiot forgot to put the spoilers out, or in. But anyways, yeah, once the PMDG 777 is out, which hopefully is here shortly, hoping by the end of this month, which is February of 2024, hoping to do lots of long hauls this airplane, the HorizonSim and the working title 787, you know, they kind of scratch the itch, they do the job, but they're just missing that little thing, that little kind of extra. I don't even know what to say about it, but in terms of the flight handling, it's just a little bit off. It's just still a little on the kind of that arcadey side from the default aircraft and MSFS, and it's obviously missing some system depth. It's fine for just your normal flight, but you know, you're missing a little bit. So super excited for the PMDG 777 and the Anubelts A350 and some other airplanes. Bluebird 757 that's planning to come out as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this flight. I'll stop blabbering on. As always, appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for any likes, comments, subscriptions, suggestions, all that. And not sure what or when the next flight will be, but I hope to see you there when I do that. So I will see you guys next time.